Have you ever wished you'd been more prepared in the event of a weather emergency? Then get ready because this episode is for you.
Weather expert, social media influencer, and storm chaser Jennifer Watson gives you inside information on weather prep and how to protect yourself and your loved ones.
Jennifer also provides helpful and affordable items you can invest in for your family and loved ones' safety in the future.
Jim, I think what we should do first, for those people that have been under a rock and don't know who Jennifer Watson is, I think we're going to embarrass her a little bit and have her talk a little bit about herself. Folks, it's not just like, Jim and Chris hanging out in their living room talking. Like, you have a true Emmy-winning meteorologist here, Weather Channel, Agora Pulse. Jennifer, if you would just please give us your quickly. The people, they want to know who they're talking to, who they're listening to, who they're watching tonight.
Oh my God, I love you guys. Chris, you're just amazing. Jim, so are you. You guys are the best hosts ever, I think. So I am actually a degreed meteorologist. That's where I got my master's degree in, and my undergrad was geography. And I really love math too. I'm like a science math nerd. So I almost double majored in geography and math. But I was a meteorologist on camera on local TV for 5 years, then transitioned to the Weather Channel, where I was a content producer. I actually built the graphics and was one of the main meteorologists for one of the shows. Then I transitioned to social media, and I was a social media specialist there for about 4.5 years. And I also, I transitioned from that to the social media manager of Agora Pulse now. But I still do one of their shows, Weather Gone Viral. I'm still on there. So I consult with them. And we have our season 6 of Weather Gone Viral that's going to be released later on this year. So if you're up late at night or the evening and you're not sure what to watch and you see Weather Gone Viral on the Weather Channel, you can click and I'll probably be on one of those episodes. So I like to geek out a lot. I also have a Stormfront Freak podcast, a weather podcast I co-host. With several other meteorologists where we get to geek out about weather too. So social media and weather are both of my passions, which I love very dearly.
And you know what? Awesome. I think they fit well together, right? Because we like to watch this stuff. I mean, whether it's tweeting about weather or, in fact, when I was in should we start with hurricanes, Jennifer?
Yes.
Because I know. Yes. So I was a victim of Hurricane Florence. That's one of the reasons why we're all now neighbors in the Atlanta, Georgia area. But I was telling everybody, they're like, how do we communicate? It's like, use Twitter. Everybody was wanting to go download another app, but Twitter makes it so easy to communicate. But let's I guess, tell us a little bit about what's going on right now. Jennifer, you have like a little bit of a weather, some weather stuff for us.
Yeah, we can do a weather briefing. So for those of us, in case you're watching this a little bit later on, this is August 11th. So we're right in the middle to a record-breaking hurricane season, which is pretty crazy. We had so many records broken already, and the peak of the season is not until mid-September. And I'm talking about the Atlantic hurricane season. We have the Pacific hurricane season as well. But the Atlantic is the one that's been extremely active. We now have what could be a Josephine, I believe, in the Atlantic. We have another system that we are watching that's likely going to develop. If that storm develops before August 22nd, it'll be the earliest that the J named storm form. So we're just on pace for a record-breaking season. And it's the first time that NOAA, they reissued their forecast for hurricanes for this year. It's the first time they've issued up to 25 named storms. They've never done that before. Yikes. So the thing is, we're anticipating a very active year. Now, does that mean that all these storms are going to make landfall? No, not necessarily. You can have a very active year and all the storms stay out to sea, or major hurricanes stay out to sea. But we are likely going to see some major hurricanes. And I believe they're predicting at least 3 to 6 major hurricanes. That's category 3 or higher. So it's kind of scary right now. And when we're going through COVID-19, it's, you want to be socially distanced. And the main thing when it comes to storm preparedness is you can't rely on government or really anything else. Yes, they will be there to support, but when it comes to mass destruction, so many thousands or millions of people impacted, they just can't help everyone at the same time. And really the preparedness is up to you to protect you and your family first, because it may take days, even weeks, for city officials, government officials to be able to have the manpower to help everyone. So that's the most critical thing. And so I'm a storm chaser as well as a meteorologist. So we're going to talk about a couple of different things, different products to keep your family safe, make sure you are prepared. And there's some really cool new ones now that are awesome. Even if the apocalypse happened, you guys would be okay.
But let's talk about this first product that Jennifer brought to our attention, which I think I almost want to go out and buy one. And that is I don't know if I'm saying it right, but is it like the Logia 5-in-1 Wi-Fi weather station, indoor, outdoor? Wow. Tell us about this, Jennifer.
So this is kind of for the weather geek in you. If you have a weather geek, there's always a weather geek in the family somewhere. What I love about this is when you think about weather, there's a lot of microclimates. And you really see this in the summertime that you're experiencing right now, where you see it raining down the street, but not over you. And you're like, how did that happen? There's something in that air that was more unstable down the street than where you are that caused that. And so I'm always fascinated with what is the temperature drop once it rains, or if I see a front moving through or know a front is going to move through, the wind shift. And so this is like your own personal little weather station. And you can teach your kids about the weather with this as well, but it's truly digital. You can look at the dew point temperature, the actual temperature, the different wind speeds, and all sorts of other atmospheric conditions. Now, this is probably one of the lesser expensive. You can have one that costs several hundreds of dollars, but this is a basic one that I love and I think does a really good job when it comes to the digital outdoor weather station that you want to have at your house. So you can monitor the weather, and you can even, teach your kids and keep tabs on it. So during the COVID atmosphere, or if you just teach your kids at home, you school them at home, this is great for science, right? You can teach them about science, about the weather as different fronts move through. So this is one of my favorites. And there's also payment plans with this as well. It's got an almost 5-star rating, which is really good when it comes to any kind of products. So if you're a geek and you want to pay attention to the weather where it is over your house, or you want to help teach the weather to your kids, this is a perfect product for that.
I love that because it's so direct for yourself. It's very low. It's hyper localized. Whenever you're watching television and everything, you have to keep it somewhat general. Obviously, this is like in your very specific area. And I also love how you made that about teaching your kids this kind of stuff. It's super interesting and fun as well. As opposed to just being some scary thing because a hurricane's coming or a tornado's coming or like whatever type of deal. So this is great. I love this thing.
It's even amazing, even here, and it seems like maybe that's why the Weather Channel is located here in Atlanta. You can have crazy storms up where Chris lives, and we don't get a drop down here. And it's like, where did it come from?
Right.
Well, and when you're creating a 7-day forecast, it can fluctuate between like even 10 to 15 degrees across your viewing area. So having a 7-day forecast for just Atlanta, it's going to vary, especially once you live in a specific location for 5 to 10 years. You start to understand, okay, it's always going to be a little bit cooler here or a little bit warmer based on that 7-day forecast. I mean, like you said, Chris, it's hyper local. There are microscale things that impact the weather locally within towns, within neighborhoods that can make big impacts when it comes to how a storm is impacted by you. And since we're talking about Atlanta, the southwest portion of Atlanta is known as the mini tornado alley in Atlanta because storms tend to produce tornadoes as they go over the southwest portion of the region, which is fascinating. And it's likely due to a little bit of mountainous terrain down over that area. So, which is intriguing. But yeah, so this weather station is awesome. And I like the full color LED display. Yeah. Obviously, as technology has improved over the past 10 to 15 years, you get cooler and cooler things. So this is one of those, it's a decent price and it's a good system. And so this can be something for your Christmas holiday wish list that you can put on. So.
Yes. Remember that, Chris. I'll be looking for that.
Me too, Chris.
Hey, Jennifer, something that I don't know when this started too. We talk about the name storms when it comes to hurricanes, but even now winter storms have now started to gather names. How did that all come about?
So that's actually something that's purely created by the Weather Channel. So over in Europe, they actually name high and low pressure systems, and each one gets a designated female or male name. So naming storms other than hurricanes is not a new thing globally. They do that a lot in Europe. And basically, it was something where one of our winter weather experts, Tom Nizzle, who worked at the National Weather Service in Buffalo, New York, for over 30 years, he dealt with a lot of lake effect snow. And those are very micro scale events where you get these very thin bands of snow that maybe are only 3 miles wide, or even a half mile wide and 3 miles long, very thin. And so he actually helped create the Buff Kit, which is like a way we look at different weather models as a meteorologist. But we wanted to create something when we were at the Weather Channel, and this was other meteorologists trying to figure out how can we raise awareness to really impactful winter storms that could cause a higher threat of, potentially damaging property, taking lives. And so naming storms has a threshold kind of like hurricanes in a little bit of a way, but it's something truly unique to the Weather Channel. And I think at the Weather Channel would love for it to become, government or, more widespread. But it would take a while, for in a political setting for something like that to get passed. So it's the Weather Channel's way of making sure that people know that, okay, this particular storm is going to be a big one. So you need to prepare for it because there's always little, disturbances, low pressure systems that could produce snow or maybe even a little bit of freezing rain. But it's the big ones that will really impact travel. Cities could cause power outages that we name. And there's different reasons why we name certain storms. So,
got it.
Yeah, it's all about public safety. And it's one of those things we always tell people, don't drive over a flooded road or through a flooded road because you don't know how deep it is. And what do you see all the time? People are like, whatever, we're going to risk it, Right. and so we're just trying to save lives, Right. As a meteorologist, that's your biggest goal in making sure people are prepared.
But as we know, when you're in a storm, power goes out. And it's inevitable, right? And that's like one of the first things they say is that this is going to be the impact of possible power outages throughout this particular area. And I love this next item that you suggested. So talk to us about this portable charger you recommend.
So Anchor is one of my favorite brands. They're very well known for their chargers. This has 4.5 stars as well. That's 30,000 ratings at almost 4.5 stars, wow, which is a lot. And you could charge your phone. I'm not even sure the exact stats of my new iPhone, but probably at least between 7 and 8 times. I've never had an issue with it or really lost charge. I'm really good at charging my devices and my chargers, but I have between 4 and 5 portable chargers that I travel with when I go to conferences. They're good for conferences. They're good maybe to keep once everyone starts getting back to work eventually. But it's always good to keep something charged because even in a severe thunderstorm, they can pop up sometimes and it could knock out power. And you're like, well, crap, my phone is about to die, and you can charge it. So these are great. And this one, yes, it may be a little bit more expensive, closer to $50, but it's worth it. It'll last. And it's amazing. And you have multiple different plugins too. So you can plug in multiple devices. It's not just, one device to charge. And so I would say, especially when it comes to major storm systems like a derecho or, big widespread severe storms or a hurricane where you could be out of power for days to weeks, you need 1, if not 2, I would say at least 2 power supplies for a family, if not more.
And you can even, I think, with the plug, you could actually put that into, say, example, your car charger, if you get the right type of car charger, and recharge this battery so you can continue to have it. Because, sometimes it may be a while before you get internet back, but you can still get that cell phone working. So that's definitely something you want to have.
And it's critical too to let your family know that you're safe, that you have a way to watch the news, get information. Because a lot of times when it comes to weather, Twitter is used mostly with updates, because it's the most timely social channel. And so I monitor Twitter all the time for different hashtags with storms. So
you're a social media expert as well. So how would someone use Twitter if they're in a storm? How would they know what hashtags to follow? All of that stuff. Why, even I guess someone who barely knows Twitter, maybe doesn't really understand it, just has an account and doesn't really, know anything, but knows that Twitter, like you said, is a useful tool to be able to communicate things. How would they do that?
So, that's a great question. So with the recent Hurricane Isaias, you would want to do hashtag Hurricane Isaias, hashtag Isaias, and then whatever state you're in. So this is something that mostly the National Weather Service and meteorologists use, but it's GAWX for the states. So the state abbreviation, GA, and then WX is always the abbreviation for weather. So hashtag GAWX, and then hashtag Atlanta, and then get more granular where, I'm in Woodstock. So I'd be like hashtag Woodstock. So there's I think at least 5 other Woodstocks in other states, but you want to get granular and you can follow those hashtags and search them. And that allows you to see, people will use those hashtags and you can get updates on the different weather going on as wide as the hurricane impacting the eastern seaboard to specifically your state and your town. And so that's whenever there's a major hurricane, I will do the hashtag of the hurricane and create a whole Twitter list for that, a new column, and monitor all those tweets and see what areas are being impacted. If I want to know specifically in Georgia, I'll do hashtag GAWX or hashtag Georgia Hurricane. And you'll kind of notice what's trending. And usually if it's a landfalling hurricane, you can look at the top 10 trending hashtags on Twitter, and usually it's 1 or 2, if not 3 of them. So wow. That's a great question though, Chris. A very good question. And that's why when I was at the Weather Channel doing social media, we used Twitter over any other social media platform because you would not post a tornado warning on Facebook with the algorithm where you could see it 2 days later and think that
three people saw it.
Yeah, that your town has a tornado warning. We would never do that. If anything, and even when it comes to different things on Twitter, we timestamp it because you get frequent updates, especially nearing landfall. We will get hourly updates from the National Hurricane Center on what the progress of the storm and what it's doing. So things kind of get old fast, retired fast information. So
wow. Awesome intel. Thanks for that.
This next kit we're going to talk about, which is the GoPro Hero 7, really lets you chase the storm. Am I right?
It does. So when I was the social media specialist on the TV side of the Weather Channel, we created 7 to 8 kits for our live teams to go out with so they could actually go live on different social channels. And we actually had a much bigger kind of suitcase kit, but GoPro is one of those things that all storm chasers, and I'm going to put this out there, I do not recommend chasing storms unless you're a scientist. You're with a scientist or a meteorologist, that you got to be very, very careful. So definitely, if you don't know what you're talking about, meteorology, everything, don't do that. But let's say you're on the coast and you're like, I'm evacuating, but I want to see what happens, or do a time lapse. You can set up a GoPro, but this is waterproof. This is the entire kit of literally anything you could possibly need for GoPro. It's a little pricey. It's almost $340, but you can get it for cheaper than that. If anything, get the basic GoPro. This is a GoPro 7, Hero 7. And I love this. This is also an iographer bendable tripod, which you can also get on Amazon as well. But you can just get the basic GoPro. And then you would also want the waterproof case that is in that kit. So if you can't afford the whole kit, at least get the waterproof case. But this is something that you can set up outside somewhere, or if you don't have the waterproof case, you can bend these different, this is why I love this tripod, because you can bend it, hook it to something, anything, even the edge of the couch, and point it outside. But this is one of those things that maybe you want to capture the storm, right? You're maybe in a safe enough location, but you're still going to get some wild weather. Or if you're going to go storm chasing, Or, you know what, if you're going to go traveling on vacation with your family, socially distanced safely, you can capture some really great family photo from this. My sister, she's a weather enthusiast, but she doesn't really go storm chasing that much, but she uses her GoPro all the time with her kids, capturing images of her kids. And you can do fun like time lapses and everything. So it's multi-purpose. This isn't just for weather. You can use this for anything, but it's especially good if you want to capture different kinds of weather moments. So if you have been, very good this year, Santa may surprise you with this kit, or maybe someone else in your family may be like, you know what, Jim, Chris, you have been amazing this year. Cheers.
But I heard something I think I was more interested in. So when your partner in crime, Brian, isn't around, I have a Jeep. Chris has a truck. You're a meteorologist. So if you need to chase some storms locally, just let us know. We're happy to be your escort. I think you said we can only chase storms if you're with a meteorologist. So Chris, we just solved that problem.
Yes. Only if I can podcast from the chase, like a live podcast while we're doing it. Otherwise, I'm out. Sorry.
I think that would be fun.
No, seriously, what we would do, when I go storm chasing, we do this. We mount GoPros, probably at least 4. So we get all the directions and we go live. We have a live stream going the entire time. So yeah, we have 4 in a car, 2 meteorologists at least. We have a dedicated driver and a dedicated internet tech guru. And also they look at the map as well. Just like on Twister, you don't fold the maps, you roll the maps.
Right.
But they pay attention to the back roads because you go on a lot of dirt roads sometimes to follow storms. And I think we're going to hit it back toward protecting your family and refocusing on that. I wanted to get the tech gear kind of in there too. But it's also really about making sure that you have certain apps on your phone to get alerts, but you have multiple ways to get information. And the one thing I love is the Midland Emergency Crank Weather AM FM radio. And I have one of these and it's small. It's perfect. Unfortunately, I left it at my house. I'm not in my main studio right now. And so, but it's fantastic because you can crank the power and it has a flashlight with it. You can charge your cell phone with this as well. If you don't have one of these, if you don't have the battery pack, you can still charge your cell phone with this. And this is actually perfect for if you have elderly parents or someone that's hard of hearing that you need to be warned of a storm or need to get alerts. This thing will wake you up. It will. There's no doubt about it. Trust me, it'll wake you up. We had a tornado warning in Atlanta last year and around 2 a.m. And Jim, you were close to me. I don't know if you got woken up by that or not, but I faintly got woken up by the sirens, the tornado sirens outside. But you need another alert on your phone, like an app or a weather radio. And a radio is so important. I know it may be kind of an archaic technology now, but radio, when everything goes out, cell phones and everything, radio is what's there, what stays. You can program this to specific counties. You can even program it. So let's say you live in Atlanta, but you have a son, daughter, family, whatever, where there's a hurricane's going to hit, you can change it to their county that they're in. So maybe you can give them updates if you need it. You can keep an eye on your family. So it's an all-in-one. It's crank, so you can make sure it always has power. It's got the flashlight. You can charge your phone on it, and you've got all sorts of different settings. And
it's got multiple power sources, right? So you can plug. Is there USB? You can plug in, charge your phone, and it's got a solar. It's like a total Swiss Army knife of high quality, like everything you need if you get in that kind of situation. And not only that, I'm seeing a dog whistle on the.
Right?
Yes.
What is that about? To get your dog in the house, or like what is that for? I have no idea.
So the dog whistle is for when they send out search teams. So let's say that you're under, God forbid, you're under rubble, you're stuck in a place, and it's a high enough pitched noise that the dogs will hear it, and the rescue, they'll hear it first and come to you.
Awesome.
Which is,
I had no idea.
I would have never thought of that. So so if you have this with you, you're able to. Yeah, that's a great idea.
And this is the dog whistle is even more so, obviously, with hurricane rescue and cleanup, really devastating hurricanes, but also tornadoes too. When you have huge tornado outbreaks and buildings collapse and everything, you might be stuck somewhere. This is how they're going to find you. If, like, God forbid, you're just stuck and buried. So it's literally everything you can think of. And right now, with all that's going on, I would say be smart, be safe, and just get one of these for you and your family. Or if you have parents, aging parents or anything, just so you know that they're safe and they have something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great idea. Okay, we're going to try to impress the meteorologist with the items that we think would be great. And I was like, well, you absolutely need a flashlight. Like when the power goes out, you need a flashlight. And I've always used mag lights, and mag lights were always great, but they always are like super heavy, and I've never seemed to have enough D batteries around. But it was like there was one item in the list that you that you put in the carousel that we actually also put in the carousel. This isn't one of them, but when I saw this, I was like, what am I doing with a mag light? This is the flashlight that I need, because it also does all of these other things, and it's also bright as all get out. But
yes, it is.
Yeah.
This thing, so it's as bright as the sun. It will literally will light up anything. You can also charge your phone in it as well. So this is, and I put this in because I know the Midland Weather Radio also has a flashlight. This one is bigger, but it has another way to charge your phone. And I love how the way that technology's moved over the past 15, 20 years, that we all have cell phones, that everyone's thinking about this. You can never have too many cell phone chargers ever, I don't think. So this is perfect, or another source to charge it. But I like it because it's got the lantern and it's got the main focusing light. So the lantern, if, like, God forbid, you're out of power, but you're safe at home, you can use it and put it in a room and it'll lighten up the room. Or if you're searching for someone or something, looking through things at night, and you have to do that, you've got the main focusing light beam that can allow you to look through debris or other things if you need it. And this can be used for anything as well. I mean, it can use for camping trips, anything you could think of. But it's waterproof, which I love too. And so if you're stuck outside or, in a difficult situation, whether it's storm related, it's waterproof. And it's one of those things that you can use it for a variety of things because it has 5 light modes. So you can do super bright if you're trying to get someone's attention. Hey, we're over here. Or if you're like, oh, we're just camping for leisurely fun with my family and you want to read or stay up late, you can do that as well. And so I think it's hiking, camping, weather safety, all of that. But when I think of flashlights, you don't think of a basic flashlight anymore.
Right.
I mean,
yeah.
I
can't believe it's $39. I mean, that's
a deal.
It does all of that stuff for $39. I mean, you pay not that much less for just a basic flashlight.
And I love the fact that it has all the different, it's waterproof and it has different light settings too. It's not just one size fits all.
And it's got like the flashing mode, right? I mean,
yeah.
That's pretty cool there.
Right down on the side of the road. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And just think, you can charge it with a cable, right? This isn't where I got to go, buy more batteries, or my batteries that are in there are dead. Now what do I do? I love like the idea of the lantern, right? You can even just take it out in the backyard, because I'm assuming that top light, you would just turn it off unless you want to, get in touch with the aliens with the light shining up at the sky.
Exactly. And one thing to think about is, which I can't believe it's August, we're nearing fall, we're nearing winter weather season, is it's always good to have a car safety kit as well. Just in case you break down or anything else in the middle of the night, you have to change a flat tire. This will be there to protect you. And so one of the things my dad, when I left for college, like, I have a toolkit in my car with a flashlight, with like all the basic screwdrivers, hammered, anything I could potentially need if I got broken down. And so this should definitely be somewhere in a car or in your safety kit. Sure.
And this would be a great gift item. Like you said, it's affordable. You could give one to all your family members so that they have something they can keep in the car. I mean, I just love the fact that, the LED lights, right? They last longer as well, as far as bulbs go. The fact that you can just charge this so many ways, and it can back up as a charger for your cell phone. I mean, yeah, I never had seen that. She got us once again.
I think everyone should have a first aid kit, no matter whether you have kids or anything else. It's just always good to have, and especially in your car, because you can take it anywhere. And this one is probably the most hardcore first aid kit I think you could buy. There are less inexpensive ones. This is for hardcore emergency. It comes with scissors. It comes with all the gauze. If you need, like, you sprain an ankle, this is like a hiker's pack almost. If you travel a lot in the desert. But let's say you're in a hurricane situation and, people are injured, or a tornado where you're worried about debris, right? Debris is the biggest thing we're worried about when it comes to tornadoes, and one of the biggest killers of tornadoes, and even hurricanes. I mean, a hurricane can be like a category or an EF2, 3, or even stronger tornado, but it lasts for hours. And you've got tree branches and pieces of houses and other things flying in the air that can nick you. And so having some type of an emergency kit is great. This you will have for life. You're never going to need to resupply this. I mean, this is there to take care of you, your family, the entire neighborhood, perhaps. But it's there. And there are less expensive ones, but this is one of the ones that I think does an incredible job. The ratings are great, and it contains just about everything you could potentially think of. If you were to get minorly injured and you were not able to get to medical care or medical treatment for hours or potentially days, this is what you need. And I would say, if you live in, along the Eastern Seaboard or, in Tornado Alley, one of those regions, you need to have something like this where it can be there to help you and, help protect you and everything.
And others, to your point. I mean, I think, a lot of this is like, obviously you look at something like this and it's, and there are less expensive first aid kits for sure. But this is an investment that you can, know that you're going to be taken care of in terms of being able to have what you need, not only just for those loved ones that you have in your home, but like you said, there could be others around you that are close to you, whether they're family, whether they're friends, neighbors, whatever, that you could also help. So this is a great item.
Yeah. And we all know with tornadoes, especially, I mean, it's amazing how it can destroy a house. But 2 houses down, there's maybe minor roof damage. I mean, it's really just as simple as that. And so having some kind of first aid kit, especially with a very active hurricane season, it only takes one major hurricane or a hurricane in general to make landfall to be devastating.
How are you going to get your water, right? Water is so important. It's probably the thing that hurts people, I would say, more often than not when it comes to storms or just in general, is people forget to hydrate. And so this is really a pretty cool piece of gear.
It really is. And one of the reasons why you want to think about water and hydration is a lot of times when severe weather happens, it's in the summertime, it's in the spring, it is hot, it's humid. You're already losing more water than you'd expect. You're out in the elements too. You're out in the sun, you're not protected, or you're cleaning up debris, searching for people. You're not just relaxing in an air-conditioned place. And so it's even more critical for you then to stay hydrated. I'm one of those people, guys. I drink nonstop water all day long. Like, there's no lack of hydration. My boyfriend Brian's like, geez, Jen. I'm like, I know. But that's how I am. But you want to make sure you have several of these containers. And I love how this one is BPA free. It's a collapsible water container. It's not like, it doesn't have to take up a lot of space, but when you know a storm's going to come, you can fill it up with water. And this is 5.3 gallons, which is amazing. Also, if you're camping, this can be great for that too. Hiking, And a lot of families right now are renting RVs. RV sales are through the roof right now. And this is a great option for you to keep just fresh water handy for everyone nearby. But this is water. We can't survive without water that long. Food, a little bit longer. We could survive without food, but water is necessary. And if you're dehydrated, you run the risk of heat stroke, all that stuff really quickly, especially like right now where we're in the heart of summer and it's like the hottest where it is going to be in the Northern Hemisphere for many locations. So,
and it's like, isn't it like a gallon per person per day, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that like, what's the math there in terms of preparedness?
Yeah, I believe it's a gallon of water per person per day. You want to think about that. And I always overdo it with water. I always add extra. Always assume you're going to need more when you're thinking of preparedness kits because you just never know. Or some neighbor of yours that survived as well maybe didn't prepare as well as you did. And so instead of sacrificing your own, you're able to provide them water and food. So you got to think about that as, one of those things. So I always try to over prepare, but at least a gallon of water per person per day. Little kids, maybe not quite as much, but you just want to assume that anyway, because you just never want to run out with water. So this is one of those great things that you haven't invested in, and they're collapsible, under $13, guys. If you just get a couple of these, I would say, maybe one per family member, and that way you're taken care of for at least 5 days or so.
And would you say a lot of times, because you've seen a lot of this, Jennifer, what would you say the normal, is it usually be prepared for at least 3 days? I mean, don't just think in 24 hours, everything's going to be back to normal. I mean, what are your thoughts there? And you brought up earlier in the show, which I think is very important, as much as we hope that the government, whether it's our state and local or federal government, is going to get to us, they've got to wait, one, for the storm to end, right? Mm-hmm. And then they've got to get everyone together, because it's not like they're all waiting, especially sometimes this stuff comes out of nowhere. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, it's you always want to, and like I said before, you've got to assume the worst. And I always like to have a week's worth of food, especially if you're not going to evacuate. If it's a voluntary evacuation and and a lot of people are like this, and I get the mindset of people that want to stay with their home, or maybe they can't afford to evacuate as well because it can be very expensive, because once they block the roads, you may not be able to return for a couple of weeks. And then you're having to pay for a hotel, finding places to sleep. So I understand that, but people have to just understand and know there isn't a whole government team for every person, every family. There's just no way in a major catastrophic event, I don't care how prepared your government, city government, country government is, that they can help every single person right away. There's just no way. And they're going to focus on the areas that are the worst destroyed. They're going to work on rescue units and saving them, making sure hospitals are okay, all of that. So if you're healthy, but you're just okay, my house was destroyed, it may be a week or even more before you get help. So you just got to be prepared for that. It's up to you to prepare. The government, city officials and all them will try and help out. But when there's a massive event like that, they're trying to do power, clearing the roads, they're trying to do everything they can, but there's just no possible way that they can help everyone at once and as fast as they want to. Everyone, of course, they want to help everyone as quickly as possible, but there's just no way that can ever really happen. And so, you just want to prepare for the worst, and that way you're more relaxed and you can even help others that maybe didn't prepare like you did.
Wow. And so we have one last item that you brought to our attention. And I will tell you that not only could we have used it here at my house, but we probably could still use it. And that is the hurricane socks by New Pig. Yes. We've had a couple times where we've had basement leaks from heavy rains, and this would have been perfect to stop the water from going all over the basement and me having to use my wet dry vac for hours and hours and hours.
Yeah. And so these are amazing. So these are hurricane socks. And so when you think of them, you're like, do I wear them? What does that do? So, it's one of those things. So you got to be careful of low-lying areas, and especially water damage is one of the biggest things that really, if your home's not destroyed or something like that, if you're near the coastline with the storm surge, like water and flooding causes the most deaths, I believe, other than any other factor when it comes to hurricanes, but also causes probably the most damage as well due to mold and other things. And so these socks, you can put them along the doorways, or if there's a place that's leaking, they can absorb up to 1 gallon of water. They are mildew resistant, but they're really good for any kind of emergencies or to avoid some kind of devastating water damage. They're kind of heavy. It's like a sandbag, but it's like a snake. And it's specifically made, like sandbags aren't mildew resistant, but this is specifically made to help block water, absorb water, so to protect whatever you have. And depending on the hurricane or storm or whatever, if it's a river that's flooding, let's say if you live in a floodplain, these are something to invest in as well. But you got to be careful. You got to be aware of your risk and your flood risk. And this may not be able to prevent all the flooding, but maybe give you enough time to save furniture or something else, move it while it absorbs water before water actually rushes in. But this is one of the coolest things that you can use to prevent that kind of damage, and even basic flooding too. And it's only $40, and it's a pack of 12. And so obviously they're not that tall, right? If there's like a major river flooding situation, you would want sandbags and other things.
Right.
But they're good to have on hand. If it's a 12 pack for $40, why not? It could prevent a ton of, and when you think of mildew and mold and water damage, because it can take a while for them to allow you back into your homes. That's maybe one of the most frustrating thing about evacuations. You evacuate, but then they don't let you back in until they deem it safe. And you could have water, even like an inch of water can create mold and all sorts of problems within a week or two.
Yeah.
So this could potentially save a lot of heartache and a lot of pain.
Yeah, that's I wish I had this a couple of years ago.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny. In my old house, we would have, it was like actually water seeping up through the cement in our garage. And so I wish, like, this probably wouldn't have quite helped with that, but we had some flooding issues there too. So even minor basement flooding, this can help prevent until, you can find someone to help fix the problem. So, but with $40, like, nothing beats it for 12 of those.
I think the flashlight beats it by $1, but
I would have both. I'd be like, guys, let's agree we're going to spend $80 on each other this holiday season. You can give me both of those things.
Getting socks and flashlights.
Yeah.
This is all about, I don't know how this turned into like a holiday thing, but I'm ready for some eggnog and, Christmas cookies or something. I don't know.
I'm in the holiday spirit. Can we put up a Christmas tree or some kind of holiday lights of some sort? Like, let's make that happen. But yeah, but it's not Christmas time, because Christmas time would be the end of hurricane season. Both Pacific and Atlantic is November 30th. And things, looking at the weather patterns right now, if you're watching this, a little bit later, this may be a little bit dated, but from mid-August to mid-September, things look pretty active. And the peak of hurricane season is mid-September. And so things can still stay active. And if you remember back in 2005, we had some of our devastating hurricanes, Category 5, even in October. So you got to be on alert. Usually after Halloween, it's less likely to get anything too strong or anything making landfall. It's still possible. But now is the time to prepare, guys. It really, really is. And you want to be prepared year-round for all different varieties of severe weather, whether it's winter-related, you lose power from that. There's a flood, tornadoes, hurricane, all of that. And a generator is another thing. If you have the money to invest in one, definitely do that. They would be the most expensive thing on the list, but at least, if it's really cold, you would be able to stay warm.
This has been fun. I hope you enjoyed it. I've learned a lot. I thought I knew a lot. I obviously don't know anything.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
Please, you schooled us. Thank you so much.
We know something now. And I really love, Jennifer, how you took this and you said, you know what, you can't leave it up to others. You have to take it upon yourself to prepare for you and yours, right? But I also loved how you tied in the family to all of these things, and really about helping others around you as well. So like, it just because you have, it's not just about you, right? And so a lot of these items and a lot of these things, it's like if you're prepared, you could help others that may be in need, that are nearby, neighbors, family, friends. So, I mean, this was an amazing show, and you made it that. So thank you so much for joining us.
Jennifer, tell us, I know that you do some other live stuff. Where could people watch you if they want to learn more about some of the other things you do?
So I am right now, I'm currently the social media manager at Agora Pulse, and I do 2 live shows with them a week. We just had one earlier today, our Lunch and Learn on Tuesdays at 1:00 Eastern. That's in the Agora Pulse Facebook group, Social Pulse Community. And it's exclusively in that Facebook group. And then on Fridays, we have Social Pulse Weekly at 2:00 Eastern. And that's a live show that's on the Agora Pulse Facebook page, YouTube, LinkedIn, Periscope. And we have expert guests on all things social media and marketing. And we just geek out and have fun. And it's just a great way to support each other. And then you can catch me on Weather Gone Viral. That's going to be released later on this year. If you want to geek out weather with some fun viral weather moments, that'll be on the Weather Channel coming up later.
That's probably the one thing that can go viral, I would say, is weather. I don't know about some of these other people when they say they're going to make you go viral, but weather, yeah, that's definite.
Yeah, it's great. It's so crazy. And if you want to capture some viral weather moments, you just get the GoPro and you got it. You're set and ready to go. But yeah, no, this is great. We'll definitely do like a stocking stuffer winter one.
So with that, Chris, you want to take us out? And we don't know when we'll be back, but it will be soon.
All right. Thanks again, Jennifer. We appreciate it. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks for listening to Dealcasters. Congratulations. You've taken another step forward in your content creation journey. Please don't forget to hit the subscribe or follow button here in your favorite podcast player so you can be reminded every time we drop an episode.
We love hearing from our listeners and viewers. And if you're wanting to watch our shows live on Amazon, feel free to follow Dealcasters Live as well at dealcasters.live. Follow us on Twitter or subscribe to our YouTube channel, where we also included added content that you cannot find anywhere else.
If you have questions about this episode or have something you want us to review, you can also email us at dealcasters@dealcasters.live. Thanks again for listening, and you know the deal. Don't fear the gear.